Hi guys. Um, I think today's Tuesday, so happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing good. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. Um, I have no complaints, so I had a pretty good weekend. I it's just been a minute since I've been on, so I just figured I should come and talk to you guys for a little bit. um, Literally, it's been a while. So I just wanted to come and talk to you guys and wish you guys a good Tuesday. I had to get on nature, like literally, because I I realized I haven't been walking as much as I usually do. And so today I was like, let me get out in nature and walk a little bit. Because it's been a minute, like for real. And I noticed that I used to be out in nature all the time. Like I still go out into nature, but I don't like walk as much as I used to. I can admit to that. So I'm trying to work on that so I could kind of get my chakras rolling again. I notice whenever I don't walk as much, that my chakras seem more blocked. And so I was thinking about it today. I was just like, let me get out in nature a little bit so I can open up my chakras a little bit more, And you guys know you guys have like 7 focal chakras that are it's easy for them to get blocked, And so walking always balances me out. And so I believe walking actually helps with your, I think it's the root chakra. So the root chakra is like the chakra that helps you stay balanced and throughout your whole body pretty much. So it's an important chakra to have balanced, and it's easy for it to get blocked. When it's blocked, it could cause you to be more stressed out or not feel balanced at all, probably have more anxiety as well. And so whenever you want to balance out your root chakra, the best thing to do is to go on a walk in nature, and ground yourself, because walking helps you ground yourself. Well, I know that from my experience. Walking helped me a lot with grounding myself, so I know that walking helps with grounding your root chakra, and yoga too. So yoga helps out with the root chakra too. And so a lot of times I was always in nature, especially in whenever I was in San Diego. I was always in nature, but they had a lot of trails, a whole lot, and water. And you guys know I'm obsessed with the water, so I was like always out in nature, especially out there because of the beaches, of course. Then I had the trails. They had a whole group of trails. So I was always out in nature. They considered me the popular loner because I was always alone, but I was always in nature. So I was like the popular loner, I guess. But it was amazing to me. It's funny because I didn't even care about being a popular loner because I was alone a lot out there, of course, but I learned so much stuff, and like I had like the coolest experiences the whole time I was out in Cali. Like even when I was alone by myself, which I was majority of the time, but I had the greatest experiences, let me tell you. So people probably thought I was weird and stuff because I was always in nature and I would walk a lot, and I would do my videos sometimes. And I remember in the beginning, it's funny, I would walk on this trail a lot, and this guy, I don't know if he's just visiting the town or what, but he was there for a minute, and every time I would walk on the trail and like talk on my videos, he would laugh at me all the time. And he always laugh at me. He'd be like, oh, all you do is walk around and do your videos and talk shit. It's funny because he thought I was talking crap on my videos, but I literally wasn't. I was literally trying to like talk about my experiences and kind of help people with stuff. But he never actually sat down and watched them, but he would always see me talking on my videos. And so he would always like pick on me, you know. Every time I walk past him, he'd be laughing at me. But I don't know. I think he's one of my subscribers. I think I sold it to him. I told him about my channel because he would always talk about me. So I was like, you should watch it sometimes. So he was funny. So he thought I was a popular loner. But a lot of people did. But I would just experience a lot of like amazing things in nature a lot, especially when I was alone. And so I didn't care about being alone. And you know, the more that I was in nature, I noticed the more that I was balanced. And the more that I was balanced, I noticed over time, the more I felt connected to everything, like literally. So the more that I was in nature, the more I felt connected to nature, if that makes sense. And so with me being in nature a lot and like kind of like enjoying nature, I would say, and to make sense, because I really didn't have much to do. And so I would go into nature a lot, right? And so the more I enjoyed nature, the more I became grounded. And the more grounded I became, the more my chakras were popping. And so my chakras was like seriously aligned. And on top of that, I wasn't like engaging in certain activities or like having certain negative people around me, or like engaging in certain activities I would take from my energy, if that makes sense. By me being like aligned in that area as well, I noticed that it helped me become super aligned with my chakras, because I didn't really have anything interfering with my chakras at all at the time, you know. And so, or anyone, you know, to kind of throw me off. And I did that kind of like on purpose, to be honest, because I wanted to stay focused, and I had a feeling that I had something that I needed to accomplish for myself, if anything. And so a lot of activities and certain things, you know, I wouldn't engage in because I felt like I had something to do. And I felt like if I would have done certain activities, it would have kind of like messed up the plan, if that makes sense, or throw me out of alignment, or I may like experience more obstacles, or anything could have happened, you know. And so I felt the best way to do it was to say to myself, pretty much keep to myself, and focus on myself as far as, you know, trying to do the right things as far as being balanced and stuff, you know. And so I felt like if I stayed to myself back then, you know, it would be best for me. And it was, to be honest, because, you know, I didn't have anything interfering with my growth or anything. And so the more I've learned, the more that I stayed in nature, the more that I grew and evolved, like mentally, spiritually, and physically, all at the same time, right? And so I would have all this cool stuff happening while I was in nature all the time. And like, even if I looked like the popular loner, I would still be experiencing all this cool stuff. So I wasn't even focusing on what other people was focusing on. So like, if they were focusing on me or trying to send me negative energy or anything like that, I really wasn't focused on it. So I didn't see it, or it was blocked out. And so because I was like blinded by all this cool stuff that I was experiencing in nature. And so, you know, over time it just became like amazing to me. And it didn't matter if I was a popular loner anymore, you know, because the more I learned the more that I was in nature, the more grounded was, and the more grounded I became, the more connected I felt like I was with a lot of like pretty much everything in nature. Because I would experience like all this cool stuff that would happen. One thing, I think the first thing was the water, of course, at the beach, and how like it would go crazy when I would get in the water. And so another thing that was occurring was the wind. I would have like this strong connection with the air. And so I noticed if I go certain places or if I walk in nature, like I felt like I was a part of the air too, because it'll go really fast and do all this crazy stuff when I was in nature. And even at the beach too, like the waves would go crazy. Like when I would go to the beach in the beginning, you know, I noticed like the waves would go freaking crazy. Like it's like unreal how fast and huge they would become just by me looking at the waves. And so like the more I play with the water and stuff, and the more balanced I became with myself as far as my chakras, I noticed like cool things that would occur. If I would think about certain things, it would literally occur. And so I noticed it first at the beach. Like I literally went to I'll save that story for another time actually. But anyway, so I would go to the beach a lot because of the water and how connected I was with the water. And I remember like I would go to the beach during the day majority of the time and like do all this cool stuff with the water, but it was crazy because it would like manifest in the sky too. So the sky would like change to certain colors that I would think of, or like I don't know, it was just crazy. And I remember it happened once. I was at the beach for like 3 or 4 hours, and I was just playing with the water and doing what I normally did. And this girl, she was sitting down watching me the whole time, like the whole time. And I remember when I finally went to go sit down, the water was like cool, right? It looked so crystal clear. It's so cool. And I sat down finally, and I was cold because I was in the water for a minute. And I sat down, and this girl ran over to me, and she was like, oh my God. She was just looking at me, and cause she watched me the whole time, right? And she ran over to me, and she's like, oh my God, are you okay? Because I think I was wearing my blue swimsuit. It was like blue and red or something. And it was weird because it was either that one or I don't know which. I think it was a blue and red one. But it was weird because when I sat down, when I was done, like the whole sky kind of reflected. It was like the same color as my swimsuit, my bathing suit. And so it's just all this cool colors like everywhere when I was done. And this girl like watched me the whole time, and she ran over to me and she was like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, there's nothing really wrong, you know. She's like, I just watched you like the whole time. Are you sure you're okay? I was like, yeah. She's like, you're just so amazing. And she's just looking at me smiling, right? And then like immediately after she was like trying to talk to me like forever, I just kept telling her I was okay. And she watched the whole thing, so she seen something, you know, because like right after that she made sure I was okay and stuff. And then she ran over and sat down where she was and like sat in Indian style and she started meditating like fast. Like she was so amazed. And so I guess like by her witnessing that, you know, she sat down immediately and started meditating. But she wasn't meditating before. She was just watching me the whole time. And so then she seen it, and she ran and started meditating to kind of become grounded, you know, which is another activity you could do to become grounded. But I will never forget that day because like it was super magical, and like the sky was just like the same color of what I was wearing, like all the time, every time. And that day was amazing, right? And so I would always have like this magical stuff that would happen in nature. And so I wasn't worried about what people were saying about me. I was not worried about what people were saying. I was worried about like, what the heck is going on? All this cool stuff is happening. And I probably was the only one to see it, but who knows? So I really didn't care if I was a popular loner. So, back to what I was saying. So I would go to the beach during the day and play with the water a lot. Or I would go to the lakes, you know. They just have a lot of activities out there. And so, I would never go to the beach at night, though. I would never go at night, but I always wanted to because I thought it would be cool. And so one day, I was bored one night, and I think it was a weekend, and it may have been like 8 or 9 o'clock, and I was bored, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the freaking beach, you know. And so I went to the beach, and I walked down to the sand where I usually go, and the moon was out, and it just looked so amazing, great. So I sat down Indian style in the sand. I just sat there, and I was just like, I'm just gonna enjoy it because I love being here. And I remember I would listen to my music too. And so I was like, you know what, there ain't nobody here tonight, and I'm the only one here on the beach. I was like, I'm gonna freaking dance. Why not? And so that's when I started dancing on the beach. And so that night I just started dancing, and it felt so amazing because the moon was out, and like it was reflecting on the water, on the ocean, and so it just looked magical already. And then when I was dancing, you know, the water, I don't know what it is with me and water, I'm not even kidding you guys, but it always gravitates closer to me every time I'm at the beach. It could be so far away, but once I get close to the water, it just comes towards me like really fast all the time. And so this particular night I started dancing, and like the water started going crazy, and like the waves got super crazy, right? And so the waves started swirling really around really fast like it usually does, right? And it started coming at me really fast and splashing all over me and stuff, right? Randomly. And so while I was dancing, and so the water got closer and closer, so eventually I was inside the water dancing, literally, and the waves would just go crazy every time. And so it was the most amazing feeling ever, like at night, because it just feels different at the beach because it's dark. And when it's dark, you could see like, you could literally see like the outline of the waves when they get huge. And it was just an amazing feeling. And so like when the water would splash on me, it would just felt freaking amazing. Like I can't even explain it. It's the coolest feeling ever. And so ever since that night, I always would go to the beach at night and dance, like all the time, because I figured I was bored, and you know, nobody's at the beach at night, and I love to dance. And so that's when I started dancing on the beach at nighttime, right? And then the more that I did that, you know, the more magical things that would occur at the beach at night. So I think one time I seen like this while I was dancing one night, I seen this, I would see shooting stars every time at nighttime when I would go to the beach. But this particular night I was dancing on the beach, and there's this huge shooting star. It was so big. I've never seen a shooting star this big. It went across the sky while I was dancing. I seen it, I was looking at it, and it shot across the sky really fast, but it was like slow the way it shot across the sky to where I couldn't tell if it was a shooting star or not. And so it shot across the sky, and then it got brighter and brighter. It didn't even go out, it just got brighter, right, in one spot. So I was like, is that a shooting star? I don't think that's a shooting star. Why is it getting brighter? So it got brighter and brighter, and like it turned green. So it turned like a bright green, and it just kept glowing. It like shot across the sky, and it stayed in one spot forever, and it just illuminated and got bigger and more green. before it disappeared. And I was just like, what the heck? I've never seen a shooting star like that. Because it stayed in one spot so long, I was just like, is that even a star? That was one of the cool things that happened when I was dancing on the beach one night. Another thing, I was dancing on the beach one night. And it seemed like after I would dance for like a long time, if I look up at the sky, there'd be something cool. Like during the day, if I would dance on the beach, I would look up and see a rainbow or something. So at nighttime, I would dance and I would look up and see cool stuff in the sky, right? And so the shooting star was one, the green one. And then I think the second time it was I was dancing like crazy and the water was playing, like I was playing with the water and it was going crazy and doing all this crazy stuff. I was dancing in the water. It just gets crazier. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the energy or what, but it's so fun to me. But one night I was dancing in the water and like I looked up after like maybe an hour or so and I seen this like cloud in the sky, but the cloud looked different. It looked like a freaking I can't explain it. So that night I kind of explained it, like it looked like a freaking rope, like a braided rope in the sky, like a cloud though, but it looked like a rope, right? But now I think about it, it kind of looked like, kind of for you guys to kind of understand what it looked like, it kind of looked like a DNA strand. If you guys know how, like, if you see like animation of like a DNA on TV or something, how the strand is like a twisted, it's like a twisted form, and then there's lines between it, right? But imagine that like being like, if you look up in the sky and see a cloud just like that, but instead of it being like lines going across for the DNA to connect, it's like a braid. So it's like, it looks like a braid, right? And so I looked up at the sky when I was dancing forever, and I looked up at the sky and I seen that, and I was just like, what the heck is that? I've never seen a cloud like that. And it was dark outside, so when I looked up at the sky, I saw this form, this cloud. It looked like a cloud, but it looked like a rope, pretty much, like a braided rope. And then I was looking up at the sky. I was like, what the heck is that? Am I the only one seeing this? And so then as I was looking at it, it started fading away by each strand. So each braided cloud that looked like it was like a strand, right? It just started popping. Like one part will pop away and then it'll fade away, and the other side will pop away and then dissolve. And it kept doing that until the whole cloud was gone. I was like, what the heck is that? I've never seen a cloud like that, especially at nighttime. And so that was the creepiest one, I think. Like I was literally like dumbfounded about that for a minute. I was just, after I left the beach, I was like, what the heck was that? I'd be seeing weird stuff, but man, like for real. And so I believe like the more grounded I became, and the more I evolved, like spiritually, mentally, and physically, the more I felt connected with nature. So it was like I could do all these cool things with nature, just knowingly and unknowingly, So, over time I realized, and I was saying, knowingly and unknowingly, because it was like I was creating with nature without knowing, because a lot of this stuff was happening to where I felt more connected to nature, and all this cool stuff was happening with the water and all this cool stuff in nature, right? Without me knowing, because I'll say unknowingly, because that was before I even came across the teachings of the ancient Egyptian teachings, if that makes sense, as far as a Shatat Natir, as far as like becoming one with yourself, to be able to become, like, have Christ consciousness, to be able to become one with everything. So that was before I even came across any of those teachings. And so I would just thought weird stuff was happening, I was like, why is the water going crazy every time I come to the beach? Like, literally, all I have to do is put my foot in the water, and it just goes crazy, like, every freaking time. I could go to the beach today, and it'll still happen. Or if I put my hand in the water and push it, you know, that'll cause the waves to go really fast, too, or high. I learned that. That's, like, the first thing I learned, and when I first learned that I had a connection with water. So I unknowingly, the teachings were playing out in my life without me not even knowing before I even knew, if that makes sense. So that's why I say unknowingly and knowingly, because eventually I came across the teachings. And when I came across the teachings, it all just started making sense to me of why certain things were happening in nature. And so I was experiencing myself being one with everything, knowingly and unknowingly. Unknowingly at first, until I found out the wisdom, pretty much, which makes it, instead of it being like magic, you know, wait, I forget. Let me just be quiet. They say something about it, so like whenever you have knowledge about it, it becomes wisdom or something like that. But if you don't have knowledge about it and you just see certain things happening that are cool, you're gonna consider it being magic. But once you find out the fundamentals, or like pretty much where it came from, the original source, or like how to do certain things, it just becomes wisdom instead of magic, because you have the knowledge on how to do it. So it wouldn't be considered magic to you because you know how to do it, if that makes sense. But if anyone didn't know how to do it and they just saw me doing all this crazy cool things, they would think it was magic, right? Because they wouldn't have the knowledge on how to do it, you know. So they would look at me as if I'm doing magic, but in all reality, it's just from my wisdom, from learning, you know, the teachings, the ancient teachings, you know, that were probably forgotten over time. I don't know. But at first I thought it was magic too. I was just like, there's some crazy stuff going on. I don't know why I could do all this cool stuff. And I would even call like certain people I knew and tell them like, this stuff is cool. Like, I don't know what's going on with me. And they wouldn't even be listening to me. They'd be like, okay, I don't know. Or they just probably thought I was lying. I'm not for sure. But nobody really paid attention, I guess. So over time, I kind of like didn't tell anybody. And I just kept practicing. So once the teachings fell upon my lap and stuff, you know, everything started making more sense to me. But I couldn't really explain it to everybody because nobody really knew what was going on. And maybe a lot of people were still asleep. You know, so they wouldn't have got what I was talking about if they even tried. So I kept it to myself and just practiced in silence, in secret, if that makes sense. So I would go to the lakes a lot in Cali. I would just sit at the lake and just look at the water, and all this cool stuff would start happening. Or just the sky, all kinds of stuff. And I think one time, I took a picture of this actually. One time I was just looking at the sky and like, when I was in California, and like, I swear to you, it was this huge cloud, and it literally turned into a rainbow. So it's like literally a big cloud, and like each section of the cloud was a different color. So the bottom was like pink or yellow, or pink, and then it turned into yellow, and then it turned into like orange, and then the very tip was like a totally like a red or something, like literally a rainbow cloud. And I've never seen that like in person. Like I've seen that like on magazines or puzzles, but never in person. And so I thought it was amazing. So like I took a picture of it, a few pictures, and I still have it on my phone actually. But I don't know. So, but like over time I became aware of the teachings, which explained what was going on in my life. And so I kind of figured it out myself in a way. And I knew I was on the right track whenever I came across the teachings, because it was literally playing out in my life, unknowingly and knowingly, when I found out or figured it out. Like, I could literally be like unnoticed before I left California. The last time I was at the beach, I noticed, like, when I would sit like Indian style on the sand and stuff and just look at the waves, like, I could literally feel the waves, like, in my body. Like, it's so weird. It's like I'll be so connected to nature where I could actually feel it, like, in my body, like the rhythm of it. So if the waves would go out, I could feel my body like going out with the wave, and when it comes in, I could feel it going in like that. So I could actually feel the water without even being in the water, if that makes sense. But by me feeling it like that, it was like, not like I don't know, it's like a controlling, like, thing to where I was connected to it. So if it wanted to get huge, it would get huge, you know. But it's just weird. I can't really explain it. It's like you have to go through it to understand what I'm saying, you know. But it's like I became one with everything. And so that's kind of what they teach you in the Shatat Natir, right? And it's that system that has been explaining to you guys that they use in ancient Egypt to be able to help, you know, their people learn how to be connected with themselves, to be connected with everything, which is nature, to be able to manifest through nature. But they had to learn through the system to be able to grasp how to become one with everything. And that's the system that they use to kind of like teach their people on how to become one with everything, was the Shatat Natir. And pretty much by raising your consciousness as well to the highest point, which is the Christ consciousness, which is, they consider it, you know, the tip of the pyramid, or like the top of the Christmas tree, the star, you know, that's considered Christ consciousness, or used to be. But they say, like, once you become one with everything, you get your conscious, you know, raise it high, you know, work on yourself, pretty much, your traumas and everything, to be able to get rid of all the negative stuff, you know. Once you reach the Christ consciousness, you'll be able to manifest through nature, because you'll become one with everything, right? So that's what they kind of tried to teach their people back in ancient Egypt, you know, how to become one with themselves. And because once you're one with yourself, you become one with everything, or you understand how you're connected with everybody, but you'll understand that through the system, if that makes sense. So when I became aware of the system, you know, and I started reading about it, I was like, this is cool. Like, maybe this is what's going on with me, you know. And so, regardless if everybody's calling me crazy and stuff, you know, I had the teachings. And so I kind of went by that, because that's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me, as far as like why I was manifesting through nature, you know. So over time, I just kept practicing. I stayed in nature, and I didn't care what people were saying. I was out in nature, in the desert, all kinds of stuff. But like cool stuff would happen, like literally. So it just became a habit to me. And the more I did it, I learned, the more grounded I became with myself and with everything. And that's how my body, my spirit, and my physical body as well became more aligned, because of me grounding myself in nature, pretty much. In meditation, of course, which I did at the beach a lot, but I do that in general. But I noticed by like not engaging in certain activities, I would have kind of lowered my vibration. It helped a lot with me staying aligned and becoming like, be able to manifest through nature, pretty much. Like one time on the trail in California, this is when I first noticed. I was like, what the heck is going on? I didn't even know anything about manifesting through nature. at this time in Cali, right? So I went on this trail I would always go to, and I would always ground myself back then. And so I remember I like went on this trail, and I started walking, and it's weird because when I started walking, like all of these freaking gnats and flies, any insect you could think of, gravitated around my head like a circle. Like, it was weird. It was just like all around my head, but they weren't on my head. They were just around my head, like a huge circle, like a halo or something around my head. And they were just following me the whole time I was walking, and people were like literally walking past me, looking at me like I was crazy. Like, they're just like, oh my God. Or they're just looking at me like I was freaking crazy, but I knew why, because I could hear it. You know, I could hear them. And it felt like it was just like weird, like this. It was weird. And it wasn't doing it to anybody else but me. And so I can understand if I had to walk through gnats or something, but I literally kept walking, and all these fucking freaking insects were like literally following me to where everybody's looking at me like I was crazy. But I think it was just my energy, my energetic field, maybe, from my vibration being so high, you know. But that's when I first noticed it. I was like, what the heck? I was freaked out myself. But then over time, you know, I noticed more things, especially with the water, you know. And I was just like, this is weird. Something's going on, you know. But the teachings helped me understand it, and by me understanding more about the teachings, you know, I just became wiser about what was going on, if that makes sense. And so instead of me looking at it as it being magic, I looked at it as it being knowledge and wisdom, you know, because I know like the fundamentals of it, pretty much, like where the root of the cause, I don't know, you know, where it comes from. It's not just like randomly happening. Like, I know why it's happening, if that makes sense, because I studied it kind of like a scientist, you know. So I didn't know at first, but once like I came across the teachings and stuff, I just kept applying it to my life. But it was already happening, if that makes sense. So, but by me having the wisdom about it, you know, I was able to apply it more to my life. And the more I applied it to my life, the more I was able to experiment with nature, if that makes sense. Kind of like a scientist, you know, they have to go out and experiment with their, you know, their newfound evidence or anything that they're studying. You know, they actually apply it to be able to have the science part of the situation. I don't know. Explanation of why certain things occur, right? And so I was like my own scientist, if you think about it in a way. I wasn't at first, but like over time, you know, by me learning, you know, I just applied it to my life. And so that's how I know the Shatat Natir worked. Well, it worked in my life, you know, as far as being balanced and stuff, to be able to become one with everything, you know. But of course, you have to have a pure heart, because if you don't, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So that's like the number one lesson. That's why it's good to work on your traumas and stuff. That's why they say that. And your ego and all that good stuff. But the popular loner. But it helped though, because like now I know a lot about nature that I didn't know before. But I have a lot of cool stories, but that's it for today. I'm done. I talked your heads off a little bit too much, so I'm gonna get off of here. That's just a gist of like all the mystical experiences that occurred, that I witnessed on my journey, my self-discovery journey. To Christ consciousness, pretty much. Because they say that, you know, you have to be like at a certain mindset to even manifest your nature, right? Like the transcendental state of your mind. So to where you feel like you have everything that you need. You're not wanting for anything. And it's not like a dire need, because you know that you're going to be okay. Because you know, like, everything's going to work out for you regardless, right? So you're not like hurting for anything pretty much. And so I always like felt like that, even when I didn't have anything. I felt like I was rich because I was rich in spirit, right? And so by me feeling rich in spirit, even if I didn't have anything, I felt like I had everything, if that makes sense. And so by me feeling like I had everything, eventually I had enough to where I felt like I had everything, to where I'm not needing for anything, if that makes sense. But it's because of my spiritual side, you know, because I'm spiritually rich, you know. Even I didn't have the materials, you know, to kind of prove that I was rich, I knew I was rich. That's just my mindset. I always thought I was rich. And so by me thinking that, you know, it's pretty much because I knew my spirit was rich. And so by me believing that my spirit was rich, which I genuinely feel that my spirit is rich, you know, everything else kind of always like worked out in my favor eventually, or I end up being okay in the end, because how I felt inside about myself, even if I didn't have the means, you know, because I felt spiritually rich. That's what I exuded out of me, you know, the richness of my spirit, if that makes sense. And so by me having that, you know, and being true to myself and other people, you know, it kind of manifests out into nature. And so, because, you know, like, and that's why I know that it's true that you have to have a good heart to be able to do this stuff, right? Because you ain't gonna want no darkness being manifesting out into nature. Everything would die. You have to have a pure heart, you know, for anything to manifest in a good way out into nature. So for it to work, pretty much. So that's what the system's for, to kind of teach you how to work on yourself. And it worked for me. But by me believing that I was spiritually rich, you know, and regardless of what I had, I always had my dignity, and I knew that, you know, I was worth more, you know. So I thought that way as well mentally. So I didn't really take shortcuts or like engage in certain activities, because I have more respect for myself. You know, regardless of my situation, I still try to do it the right way. But that's the best way, because nobody can ever take that from me in the end, because I did it the right way. So yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna get off because I've been talking too long. And you guys deserved it though, because I've been gone for a minute. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna get off, and I'll be on with more stories later. But hope you guys have a good day. Have a good Taco Tuesday. Love you. Bye.